Okay, ma, I'm starting. Hello? Okay, shall I start? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, from reader, you explain. No?
Yeah, a reader, I told you, no, I didn't get the reader, but I have gone through the reader. Every chapter I have gone through today. So whatever I'm telling, it is important only. Okay. So maybe some extra points are there in the, what do you say, the material that I am showing you. Okay. But it is almost, it is covering your whole syllabus. Okay, na? What? Okay. Now regarding the fish transportation or the sea transportation, now you all know that transportation of fish is required. Why? Because fish has to be transported from one place to another place. So the fish is being transported for mainly three reasons. One is for breeding purpose. Second one is to store in a nursery pond, and the third one is for selling. So these are the three basic what do you say, the necessities for the transportation of the fish. Then next, what are the problems that are faced during transportation? We think that transportation is easy, but transportation actually is not easy, because when you are trying to supply the fish, okay, dissolved oxygen level should be there, and that oxygen level should be more. If the dissolved oxygen, whatever the dissolved oxygen that is present in the container is very less, okay, then what happens? The carbon dioxide level will increase. So that is why dissolved oxygen level in the transporting water gets reduced, and the carbon dioxide level will increase. So that is the reason why we need to take precautionary measure. And the other thing is, due to the metabolic activity of the fishes that are packed during transportation, the concentration of different substances like urea, uric acid, they will get increased, and hence the fish will get stressed. And if the transportation is done in high density means if you are actually carrying the fish in large numbers, then it will lead to mortality of the fish due to the stress of oxygen, because all the fishes may not be able to get enough amount of oxygen. So that is the reason why the fishes will die. And the transportation has to be done in proper vessels. If they do in improper vessels, then the physical damage to the fishes will occur. So these are some of the problems that are faced during transportation. So that is why you need to take precautionary measures when you are transporting the fish. Not only that, but also you have to see how in one container how much quantity of the fish you can try to manage. Okay. Then tolerance to transport. So tolerance to transport means some of the fishes actually will be very, very small. Some may be very big, and some actually are highly tolerant, and some are medium tolerant. So this all tolerance varies with species to species. Some of them actually have air breathing organs. So that is the reason why they are more tolerant to transport. Whereas other fishes actually are less tolerant, and some are medium tolerant. So that is why when you are transporting the fish, see that what type of fish you are actually you are transporting, and how much quantity of the fish that you have to put into that container. Okay. So there are various methods for packing and transportation. Basically, two methods are there. One is called as the open system, and the other one is a closed system. Okay. Now, before that, before you transport the fish, the conditioning of the fishes, it is a prerequisite, means actually it is very, very compulsory. Now, what the conditioning does is, it will actually try to reduce the mortality during transportation. Now, conditioning in the sense means the fish should be taken in the proper way. I mean, you all know that actually fishes are very, very slimy in nature, because the fishes actually will have mucus. So that mucus actually should not go away. It should lie like that. Okay, so that is the reason why you should not touch your fish with the hand, but you should touch your fish with, you use any cloth or any muslin cloth or anything like that, so that don't touch it with hand. If you touch it with hand, actually the slime over the fish actually will not remain intact. So the slime of the fish, or the what is that? We call it as a mucus. Okay, that should actually be, because of the mucin, it is slimy in nature. So because of that, the fishes actually will be in good condition. So that is the reason why actually you should not remove the slime which is present on the fish. And fish survival actually will be better if they have no food in their intestine. So when you are actually carrying or transporting the fish from one place to another place, the fish's body should be empty. That means they should not actually have anything in their intestine. So these things should be taken care of. Okay. The next, what are the techniques of transport? There are several types of containers that are being used, and these containers actually take the or carry the fish, and based on the different types of material that are using, they have been transferred into different names. One is called as the mud ponds, which are actually made of mud. Then you have round tin ponds carriers, double tin carriers, oxygen tin carriers, and you have tanks lifted on the lorries. So these containers they can be transported either through bicycle, cars, then rickshaws or boats, lorries, trains, as well as the aeroplanes. So there are various, what do you say, the methods of transport. So by any one of the method, you can transport, and the carriers which are used are of different types. Now, mud pots. See, the mud pots actually are very, very small. Okay. And they are mostly used in Assam, West Bengal, and Odisha. And they say that one pot actually will take about 15 liters capacity. So in that 15 liters capacity, only about 50,000 spawn you can manage or you can transport. The next is round tin pond. So this is a round tin pond, and here it is made up of galvanized iron, and it is a round container. And this container actually has a capacity of 9 gallons of water. Okay. And it can 9 gallons of water, and this tin actually can carry a number of small fishes, and this tin also has a number of small holes through which the air can enter easily. And that is the reason why, since it is a closed container, almost closed, so through the holes water, what happens is oxygen can go in. The fishes will be able to actually have more amount of oxygen so that they can breathe in the oxygen. So this is what about the round tin carriers. The next you have the double tin carriers. Now double tin carriers are also made of the galvanized iron, but it has two parts, outer tin and as well as the inner tin. So the outer tin and the inner tin. So the outer tin actually is small, and the inner tin, one is slightly smaller than the outer one. So you have the outer and the inner. They are of different dimensions, and the outer tin actually will be bigger when compared to the inner one, and the inner one is actually smaller one. And the inner one actually is closed with the lid, and the entire tin will have the small openings. And the inner tin actually is filled with water after keeping it in the outer tin, and then the fish seed actually is introduced into the inner tin. So this is about the double tin container. Double tin container means it is having two tins, outer tin and the inner tin. Outer tin will be bigger, inner tin will be smaller, and the fishes actually are being preserved in the inner tin, but not in the outer tin. So they carry amount of water, little amount of water. In that you have to keep the fish. Okay. Then this is about the double tin container. Then you have oxygen tin carriers. Now oxygen tin carriers actually are of big size, and they are big polythene bags. Okay, and this is the most common method of fish transportation, especially the spawn. Spawn means after the eggs. The eggs will be very small. No? The second stage you call it as the spawn, means somewhat bigger than the eggs. The next is the fry, and then you have the fingerlings. Okay, so it is the easiest method and also the common method actually for transportation of the fish spawn, especially. And after checking the damage, if any damage is there, first you have to check it, and then it should be filled with the aerated pond water. Then the fish seed it should be start for 1 day, and it should be acclimatized, and then you have to put it in this oxygen containers. Okay, and they are saying that nowadays cardboard containers are also used in place of tin containers. This is about oxygen tin containers. See, these are the different types of containers that they are using. Then you have tanks fitted on the lorries. So these are some of the tanks which are fitted in the lorries. For road transport, the lorries actually with one or two large tanks should be fitted, and they are generally used, and this facilitate the sea transport problem to a larger extent. And also one more thing is, if you can use this type of method, you at a time, okay, at a single stretch, you can carry many tanks on the lorries, and at the same time more number of fish actually can be transported or transferred from one place to another place. Okay, so these are the various methods that are adopted, and transport of the breeders. Now, just now we have seen transport of seed, transport of spawn, transport of fry, and transport of the fingerlings. Now, breeders actually are nothing but the fishes. They may be male fish or the female fish, and they are larger in size when compared to those spawn, seed, or the fry and the fingerlings. So, the transporting of these adult fish, especially that is the breeders, is greatly increased because of the advantage of the induced breeding. Okay, and these breeders have to be transported without any shock and without any injury. And here you can use metal containers, you can use 200-liter vessels, plastic pools, open canvas carriers, and all those things. So you can use, and these wrapping of breeders also actually has to be done with a cloth, allowing free opening of the gills. So like this you can do it, because since they are very, very big, okay, easily you can handle them, and there is no, what do you say, question of wastage. But when the fishes are very small, especially the seed as well as the fry, spawn, you have to take lot of care because they may get spoiled. So that is the reason why transport of breeders is very easy when compared to that of the transport of the spawn or fry. Okay. Now, estimation of the quantity of fish seed for transportation. Now, quantity of fish for tree starvation. See, here we are using different methods and different types of things we are using, different types of containers we are using. Okay. So before you transport the fish, whatever that container you are using, first you have to find out what is the quantity of that, how much fish you can actually fit into that particular container. So based on that, actually what you can do is you can find out the number of fish seed for transportation in the containers. So this is the actually done by using the formula, that is n is equal to d minus 2 into v by r into h. This already we have done in the practical class, if you remember. Okay. So we can find out the number of, what do you say, the seed for the transportation of containers. How many, what do you say, the number of fish seed you can transport in the containers. So one specific formula is given, that is n is equal to d minus 2, where d is the dissolved oxygen, b is the volume of water in liters, and r is the rate of oxygen consumption, and h is the period of transportation. How many hours? I mean, how much long? Based on the distance, you can know. Suppose if you have to carry the fish from one place to another place, what is the distance? It may take 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. So that is what is called as nothing but h, period of transportation in hours. And n is what? Number of seed to be introduced. So how many seeds? So based on this formula, you can calculate the number of seed for transportation in the containers, in a single container. So the container may be of any type. It may be round container or the plastic container or the tin container or the oxygen container. So you can estimate the quantity of fish seed. Okay, so packing density they have given here for 12-hour journey. Based on that formula they have calculated. Okay, so already we know, we have done in the practical class about this. Reasons for fish mortality during transportation. So there are various reasons, because they may die because of lack of oxygen. Okay, they may die because of what is that? First is effect of dissolved oxygen, effect of temperature. Because of temperature also they may die. Okay, effect of ammonia or effect of carbon dioxide. Because you all know actually fishes also will try to excrete the ammonia, they will try to excrete carbon dioxide and all those things. So because of those reasons also, what happens, it will work as an artifact, so it will give damage to the other fishes. So in that case, what happens is there will be a lot of fish mortality. So the reasons for fish mortality, so it all depends upon the time, it all depends upon how many hours you are transporting, and also how much quantity of the fish that you are transporting. So based on these, there are several factors, okay, or the reasons for the mortality of the fish during transportation. So one of them is DO, that is dissolved oxygen. Then second is the temperature, ammonia, carbon dioxide, as well as the other different products. Okay, so this is about the fish transportation. Okay, one second. Yeah. Now, to actually see that there won't be any damage, there won't be any mortality in the fish. Now, these days, what they are using is they are using anesthetics. Okay, what the purpose of this is to see that, because if you want to travel from one place to another place for a longer duration, yes.
Anesthetics means?
Huh? Anesthetics means nothing but the drugs. Like suppose if you do go for it, yeah, they will see, they will give this drug so that the fishes will not have what is that? What do you call? They will not have that sense. Are you understanding? Like see, during surgery, what do they do? In the hospitals, doctors will anesthetize the patient, so that the pain and the whatever the what do you say, the hard things that they come across, they will not be able to know. Okay, and the time also they'll be not know. They'll be in an unconscious state. Okay, that is why they use actually give the anesthetics. So use of anesthetics in transportation.
Like the
So,
anesthesia, ma'am, that injection.
yeah. Okay, so they won't get what do you say, the pain. They won't, I mean, they won't come across all these hurdles. So the time will pass off very easily, so that they won't even know
They're
when the
not in
time
the
is.
consciousness.
What pa?
They're not in the consciousness, ma'am.
Yeah, they
Till
are not in the consciousness. They will be in an unconscious state. Okay, so the purpose of this actually is to ensure the fish seed survives for a longer period of time. Okay, and also to minimize the concentration of toxic gases. So when they are actually not in a conscious state, when they're in an unconscious state, definitely what happens, the concentration of the toxic gases like ammonia, carbon, metabolic activity will become low. No, so there won't be any lower concentration of toxic gases like ammonia, carbon dioxide will be very less in the media. So what happens, the metabolic rate of the fish speed actually will get lowered. No, so when the metabolic activity of the fish gets lowered, then the toxic substances will not be produced. If the toxic substances are not produced, then the other fishes will not get damaged. So that is the reason why anesthetics is very, very important, just to make them see that they are in an unconscious state. Okay, they are in an unconscious state. Okay, now these anesthetic fish seed have been found to survive for double the time. They are saying that actually they can survive for double the time. And the best anesthetic that actually these days they are using is carbonic acid. Okay, apart from this carbonic acid, they are also using quinaldine, sodium amytal, and TMS. Okay, so these are the different bodies and the drugs they are using as anesthetics. The next, addition of sodium phosphate, which act as buffer, also brings about a favorable pH for the medium for fish seed during transfer, it seems. Okay, so even sodium phosphate, if you add in the water, it will act as a buffer. So what will it will do? It will try to actually see that the pH of the medium will be favorable for the fish seed. So if the pH is very less, or if the pH is more, or if the pH is acidic, or if the pH is basic, some of the fishes will not survive. So for that reason, they will maintain the pH. It will act as a buffer, and it will maintain the pH, optimum pH, so that all the fishes can survive. Okay, and due to the non-availability of some anesthetics and the risk involved, actually they are using this. Okay, addition of sodium phosphate, which works as a buffer. Okay. Now, general guidelines for the fish seed transportation is, transportation should be done early in the morning. Okay, early morning if you go for transfer. Okay, because early in the morning, what happens? There won't be too much hot. It will be cool. Okay, so that is why if you do the transportation early in the morning, that is during the cool hours, it would be better. And the water used in the transportation also should be very cool and clean. And the number of fish seeds that are being transported, okay, should be maintained, and over number will lead to death of the fish. Just now we have seen how to find out, estimate the number of fish that has to be transported. Okay, so that number of fish seeds also should be maintained, and the oxygen packing is the best method of transportation. Oxygen packing means you have to actually supply the oxygen, and anesthetics also should be used, so that you can reduce the metabolic activities of the fish. If you are using the anesthetics, what happens? You can reduce the metabolic activities of fish. If you are reducing the metabolic activities of the fish, then there won't be production of no toxic substances. So in that way, there won't be any damage. Then care should be taken that no direct sunlight falls in the packing bags during transportation. So they should be actually covered with wet gunny bags, so that the temperature of the seed, okay, may not packing bags will be maintained low. Okay, so the care, no direct sun should be there during transportation. It should be covered with wet gunny bags, so that the temperature of the seed will be maintained low. And if the distance is very, very long, glucose powder has to be added. And use of common salt, that is NaCl, okay, in transportation bags also reduce the mortality rate. So these also are the things that we should take. So what are those? One is see that the sunlight doesn't fall on directly onto the bags. Then the packing bags should be covered with wet gunny bags, so that the temperature will not fall directly onto it, and also it will be low. And if the distance is very, very long, then the glucose powder has to be added. And use of common salt, that is NaCl, has to be also added to reduce the mortality rate. Okay, so this is all about the what is that seed transportation, that is transportation of the fish seed, how we can transport, okay, how best we can transport, and what are the various methods that are used for the transportation of the fish seed. It is not only seed but also seed, spawn, fry, fingerlings, as well as the bigger fish, that is male and female, as well as the breeders. Now we'll talk about hatchery. Okay, is it okay, ma? Yes, hello.
Yes, ma'am. We have
Okay.
to see the different concepts, ma'am. One from here, and second concept is from the another lesson. It's like that, ma'am. We are not
Oh,
going
yeah.
lesson wise.
Yeah. Okay. Now we will. I will go through the hatcheries now. Different types of fish hatcheries are there, and fishing gates are there. That is an important topic. I will just share.
Just that happen, ma'am. Or shrimp hatchery technology is also there in our syllabus.
No, types of hatcheries are there. No, in your
Yes.
syllabus. In your syllabus, it is there. The same thing I have taken. I will show you. Wait.
Types of hatcheries are there.
Yeah, types of hatcheries are also there.
Carp hatchery. That
Yeah.
only we are.
Yeah.
Earthen hatchery. Then earthen pot hatcheries.
Yeah. All those I'm showing.
Glass
Wait.
jar hatchery.
Okay. So yesterday we have started with the what is hatchery. So a hatchery is nothing but a net enclosure. Okay. It is just like a net, mosquito net, how it will be, no? So with the same cloth, actually they prepare this net. So it is a net enclosure with the inner net being smaller than the outer net. Actually it consists of two nets. One will be an outer net and the other will be an inner net, and sorry, inner net. And both these nets actually will be surrounded on all four sides. Okay. So they are what is that around the four corners you have the bamboo sticks. So they are these outer net as well as the inner net, they are attached to these four bamboo, so that it will be tight enough, and you can have a structure in which you can use this hatchery. Okay, so this is how, see here, outer hapa they say and inner hapa. Outer hapa is nothing but what? It is nothing but a net enclosure. Okay, so hatcheries are also called as hapas. See, an inner net as well as outer net, and how they are actually attached to these bamboo sticks. Okay, these are the bamboo sticks, four corners, on four corners you have, so that if you tighten around and tie around these four corners, it will give a what do you say, enclosure like thing, which will what do you say, try to which will be useful. Okay, for the fishes. Now, it is hatchery is nothing but a net enclosure, you can say, with an inner outlet as well as a smaller outlet, and always inner outlet being smaller, outer one will be bigger and inner will be smaller. Okay, and here they have given the dimensions, like outer net consists of fine mesh sieve with so and so dimensions, while the inner chamber is made of the same metal having this. Okay, and the whole device is placed in a protected water body. So this device actually they put it in a center of a water body. It may be a lake or a tank or any small what do you say, impoundment, where the water actually is well oxygenated. And here, then what do they do is the well fertilized eggs are evenly spread in this inner hapa. Inner hapa means inner what do you say, the hatchery. So in the inner net, what do they do is they try to actually spread the fertilized eggs. Now the hatched larvae, when once they put there, what happens? These eggs actually they will undergo fertilization. Fertilized eggs means further fertilization, and they hatch into larvae. And these larvae, what do they do? They fall or pass through the larger meshes, okay, of the inner hapa, because since they are introduced into the inner hapa, when once they are produced from the inner hapa, they will move to the outer hapa. Okay, they will move to the outer hapa, as the small meshes of the outer hapa will prevent them from escaping. So when once it comes to the outer hapa, outer hapa, now they are made of very small meshes, because it is very small. So in that case, what happens? The fishes will not go out of the outer hapa. It will remain inside the outer hapa only. But the inner hapa meshes are bigger. Okay, bigger. Why? Because if they are bigger only, the fishes actually, when once they are hatched and once they produce the larvae, now these larvae actually what they try to do, they come out, they try to escape from the inner hapa to the outer hapa. Why? Because the meshes are very large, whereas the mesh of the outer hapa are very small. Okay, after hatching of the eggs are completed, then the inner hapa is removed, okay, together with the dead eggs and the eggshells and the other debris to prevent the deterioration. And now only you will have the outer hapa. Okay, so that is how. Then next is hatching pits. What do you mean by hatching pits? Now, besides the above hatchery, just now we have seen, now hatching pits are also used. These hatching pits are nothing but a series of pits, okay, located very close to the breeding ground. See here, this is, these are called as the hatching pits. Again, here also it is made up of inner hapa and outer hapa. Small pits actually they try to dig into it. So hatching pits are also like your hatching hapa. You have the hatching pits, and they are used, and they are a series of pits located very close to the breeding ground. And at the size of each pit, they have given it as 8 feet into 4 feet into 2 feet. Okay. See, then several pits actually are interconnected. Now see here, these are the hatching pits. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So like this. So outer hapa, this is outer hapa, and this is the middle hapa, and this one is the inner hapa. Okay, so these are several pits are interconnected so as to allow the water to flow from one pit to another pit. Okay, so like this, you have several pits and they are very close to the what do you say, the breeding ground, and you may take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a number of pits actually you can connect them, and these are connected together so that you will have the flow of water, more flow of water. If there is more flow of water, definitely more fishes will come, and then more fishes will be produced. Okay, so they say in each pit 3 layers of cloth tanks or hapas of different dimensions actually are tied. So 3 layers of cloths. Just now I have to know, this is 3 layers of cloths. This is the outer hapa, this is the inner hapa, and this is sorry, this is the middle hapa, and this dots one you are saying no in the center, that is the inner hapa. So 3 layers of cloth tanks are used. Outermost cloth tank is about 6 feet. Then you have for support 2 bamboo poles are also fixed. Okay, for support 2 bamboo poles. So here and here, this one is a bamboo, this one is a bamboo, and this bamboo actually will be connected to another one like that. Okay, for support 2 bamboo poles are fixed to be these cloth tanks are tied. Then the middle tank is smaller, and the inner tank again is also smaller in size. Okay, so this is about the hatchery, hatching pits. We have seen what is hatchery. We have seen now hatchery is nothing but also called as hapa, and you have seen the hatching pits. Now we are going to earthen pot hatchery. Hello, ma. Are you listening? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see in this everything that is there in your book is included. Okay. Next, earthen pot hatchery. Now, earthen pot hatchery here again the principle of hatchery same system is followed here, but here the an overhead tank in the form of an earthen pot is installed on a brick stand about 2 feet in height. So they say there are 2 different sized containers, container number 1 and container number 2. Container number 1 acts as an incubator chamber, while container number 2 acts as a spawnery. Okay, so what they are saying is earthen pot hatchery. The principle of the hatchery system is almost the same, but here what you have, it is actually an overhead tank, where an overhead tank in the form of earthen clay pot actually will be there, and it is installed on a brick or constructed on a brick stand. Okay, which is 2 feet, and it consists of what? It consists of 2 different sized, what do you say, the containers. One container actually will act as an incubator chamber, and the other one will act as a spawner. Okay. The next, see here, like this. This is the earthen pot hatchery used in rural India. See, this is an earthen pot, that is a round earthen pot. Okay, and this is connected. See, there is a valve for the inlet of water. Okay, here. Okay, and here this is actually a brick stand. On the brick stand only you have an earthen pot. This is a brick stand. Okay, and then you have a rubber tube. This is the rubber tube to connect, I mean to pass entry into the water. Then you have a metal tube is there attached to that rubber tube. Metal tube will be there. Then you have a bamboo rod. The round mesh net will be there. Container 1, just now we have talked about no container. See, this is container 1 and this is container 2. Okay, this is container 1 and this is container 2, and actually they are connected with each other through the wirings as well as through the bamboo sticks. So this is how this is called as the earthen pot hatchery. This is okay. Now how it works is,
Ma'am, where the
where is the
fishes,
hello?
but means spawns and the fries, ma'am. They are in
Wait,
the earthen, all this in the containers.
which one?
Spawns and fries and fingerlings, ma'am.
I'm telling you. Wait. How actually they use it? Okay, they are introduced actually into the container 1. They are introduced because spawnery, no, spawnery means where they spawn. I told you there are 2 containers, no? One container works as an incubator. Another container will work as a spawnery where you have the spawn. Okay, so this is actually, so container 1, this is container 1 and this is container 2. I'll come to that. Now we'll see the construction first, okay? From the bottom of the earthen pot, see here, from the bottom of the earthen pot, there is a valve and a rubber pipe is there, this one. And then they are fitted. Then the other end of the rubber pipe contains a metal tube, which is again put into the container 1. Okay, so means from the here this valve and the rubber tubing actually from the earthen pot, it is connected to container 1. Okay, then next at the top of the container, a round mesh sheet is placed and it is held in position by a bamboo rod. Here, see this one on the top. Okay, then at the other end of the container 1 near to the surface, a round spout is fitted. Okay, here, this one. This is the container 2. So what they are saying is at the other end of the container 1 means at the other end of the container 1 means here only. See, this is container 2, this is container 1. So both of them are connected to each other. So near the surface, see here, this is the surface of container 1. You have what? A round spout is fitted. Then this spout from container 1 opens into the container 2. So from here to here, it will open into the container 2, which is smaller in size than the first one. Then on top of the container 2, a net is placed. This is the container 2 on which a net is placed. Okay, no, sorry. This is the container 2, no, on which a net is placed and to its other end, nearer to its surface, an overflowing pipe is fitted. See here. This is the overflowing pipe. Now, next is what? The outer end of the pipe is covered with a small net. Now, working method. Now, how do you do? Now, where you will introduce the fishes is your question now, no? Now, you know the construction now. The construction is, it has an earthen pot, okay, which is actually present at a higher level, that is on a brick stand. Okay, then you have 2 containers. So you have a valve with a rubber tubing. To the rubber tubing, you have a metal tube. Okay, and there this is connected to the what is that container 1. Okay, and a bamboo is placed on top of it. Okay, and it is covered by a mesh. Okay, then you have what? The container 1 is connected with the container 2 again through a bamboo stick, and container 2 actually has got a mesh over it. Okay, now working method they are saying is, at first the fresh water from a tube well is poured into the earthen pot. So what do they do is, from a well, they pour the water from a fresh water. They pour the fresh water into this earthen tube, earthen pot first. Okay, from the earthen pot, it will go to the container 2, and from the container 1, and from the container 1 it will go to the container 2. So at first the fresh water from the tube well is poured into the earthen pot. Then the valve is regulated to maintain the water pressure entering into container 1. Okay, next fertilized eggs are then introduced into the container number 1. So here first they will introduce into the fertilized eggs, they will introduce into this container 1. What fertilized eggs? Then the excess water flows out through the spout into the container 2, and from it to the outside through the overflowing pipe. So then what happens is, now if the excess water is there, so the excess water actually will flow out through the spout. Okay, this is the spout. It will flow out through the spout into the container 2, and then from it to the outside, and with the help of the overflow pipe. See, this is the overflow pipe. Are you listening, ma? Are you understanding? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to understand? Yes or
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
See, very simple, mass.
Somewhat.
Very simple it is. See, this is the earthen pot. There is a valve, rubber tubing with a metal tube. Then you have the container 1, container 2. So earthen pot is connected with container 1. Container 1 is connected with container 2 through these pipes. Okay. So first we have to fill the water into this earthen pot. After that, what you do, the water actually will flow from this valve through the tubing, and it will come into this container 1. In the container 1, you have to introduce the fertilized eggs. Okay, then what you have to do, when once of that water enters into this, no, and if the water is excess, from the container 1, it will, through this spout, it will enter into this container 2, and through the out, this is the overflow pipe, it will move outside. That is what they are saying. Okay, then a running water condition is thus maintained. So as a result, what happens? The running water condition is maintained. Now next is what you have to do. The water pressure is regulated in such a way that the eggs do not pass out into the second container. So you have to regulate the water. You have to maintain the water in such a way where you have introduced eggs. You have introduced eggs in the container 1, not in the container 2. And you have to see that the eggs will not go out from the container 1 to the container 2. It should remain in the container 1 only. Okay. So the next is when the eggs hatch, the hatchlings have a tendency to undergo vertical migration. So it comes to the surface and the overflowing water carries it to the container 2. Are you understanding? So because when the fertilized eggs are very, very small, they have not yet hatched. So when once they hatch, the hatchlings actually, what do? They have the tendency to move. Okay, because they will be small fingerlings, there will be hatchlings. Initial stages means they are only fertilized eggs. They have not that much grown up. So there will be very, very small. So when once the fertilization takes place to the fullest extent and the hatchlings are developed, that means when the eggs hatch, the hatchlings actually will come out of it. And these hatchlings have a tendency, means they undergo migration. So when the migration means they have the tendency to move from one place to another place. So what do? They come to the surface and the overflowing water actually will carries it from the container 1 to the container 2. So that time only the hatchlings will pass from container 1 to container 2. Till then it will not go. Only the fertilized eggs will be present in the container 1 only. Okay. Then the
So it's
unwanted.
all manual work, ma'am.
What ma?
It's all manual work, ma'am.
Yeah, it's all manual work only. It's all manual work. Okay. Hmm. Earthen
Okay.
pot. Manual in the sense till you add water and all those things. Okay. So you have to maintain the pressure. That's all with the help of valve and all those things. But manually only it is. It is not what is that? It is not done automatically. It will be done manually only. Okay. So the unwanted materials such as eggshells, unfertilized eggs, and deformed ones, they will remain behind in it in the first container itself. Only the fingerlings, hatchlings actually will come to the surface, and with the flow of water, they will move into the container 2. But the dead remains and the eggshells, whatever the unwanted material will be there, no, they will remain in the container 1 only. Then the spawns are then kept in container 2 for 2 to 3 days. Okay, then it is fed externally if necessary. And then later on, they are introduced into the nursery pond, okay, or sold to the other farmers. That is how they do. Okay, is it okay? Yes, ma.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what are the merits and demerits of earthen pot hatchery? What are the merits? Merits are it is cool and the running water conditions which is essential for hatching will be maintained. Okay. Cost of making an earthen pot also is very, very less and it is also very easy to handle. So these are the merits. Now coming to demerits. Now the earthen pot is not capable to store large amount of eggs because since the pot is very, very small, you can take only very little amount of eggs. You cannot go for large amount of eggs. Then it is a very laborious manual process. You have to do manually. Okay, and it is time consuming. It takes lot of time and it takes lot of labor. Then handling should be done with care or as pots are liable for breaking. Since they are earthen pots, so there are chances of breaking. So that is why you have to take precautionary measures and see that the pots do not break. So these are the demerits. Okay, so this is about earthen pot hatchery. It is there no in your syllabus? Yes.
Yes, ma'am, it's there.
Then you have glass jar hatchery. Now coming to glass jar hatchery, again it is a much modified setup than earthen pot. Now it consists of what? Water supply system, breeding tanks, incubation jar, hatching jar, and the spawnery. So these are the different the types of jars it has. Now we will see to it. See here. Now glass jar hatchery is generally installed by the side of a water source, okay, which may be a perennial pond or a river or a water supply from a tube well. So you have to set up the glass jar hatchery, okay, very nearer to a water source, okay. Water source in the sense it may be a perennial pond. Perennial pond means the pond always should be flooded with water or it towards a river or a water supply from a tube well. So nearer to it only, you have to actually install the glass jar hatchery. And it should be kept in a well-ventilated room with adequate light and also proper drainage system. Okay, then only it will work out. So it should have a well-ventilated room with adequate light and proper drainage system. Okay, now construction is a available water from the source is pumped into a overhead tank. See here, this is the overhead tank. Okay, this is the glass jar. Okay, and this is the open handle. And from here, see how the shower of water is coming. This is a spawnery hapa, and this is we made up of cement system, floor level. Okay, see, this is a glass jar hatchery for calves. This is the system that they have installed. So available water from the source is pumped into the overhead tank. See here, this is an overhead tank, and then which is installed above a brick wall. Okay, this is a brick wall, and which above that you have an overhead tank. And if water is drawn from a river, then a desilting tank should be provided. Then a fine mesh wire netting is provided in the pump system. Okay, in the pump system, you have to provide a fine netting mesh. Then this helps to prevent the entry of organisms commonly present in the water. Then a deep tube well is of much facility as it provides clean water. So if you have a tube well, it would be much better. And the tube well should be installed in an arsenic-free area. Okay. So either near a river or either from a what is available source of water, you can do it. Okay. The next is, now what does it have? That's now I told you it has a breeding tank, it has an incubation jar, hatching jar. Okay, so these should be there. So a breeding tank is there, as hatchery is a self-contained unit. It generally contains a breeding tank. Okay, with the arrangement of overhead showers. Now this tank actually is provided. So in the breeding tank, what happens? It will undergo the breeding. So the breeders actually will be introduced into it, and the breeders will undergo the breeding. So this tank actually is provided with for spawning the fish. Okay, so an outlet is present in each tank for draining the excess water, and a breeding tank is made of so many dimensions. Okay, and the number of breeding tanks in a hatchery will depend upon the spawn production target. Means how much amount of spawn you are producing. Based on that, actually the number of breeding tanks are present. And in a hatchery where there is no provision of breeding tanks, then the operation is undertaken in hapas, fitted in the fixed in the ponds. Suppose if you are not having the breeding ponds, okay, in the breeding tanks, then what you have to do, you have to actually go for the use of hapas. That's now we have seen, no, the hatchery or the hapa. So you have to install take the hapa, and we have to install the hapa in the center of the pond or a lake. Okay, whatever you are using the source nearby. Okay, sometimes the spawnery itself can be used as a breeding tank. So if you don't have the hapa, or if you don't have the breeding tanks, then the spawnery itself will serve as the breeding tank. Okay, so apart from this breeding tank, so this is all I'm talking about. What? Glass jar. Okay, so the glass jar should have not only, see, just now I have shown you the figure, no? It not only should have an overhead tank, apart from that, this is a glass jar. It should have, okay, the spawnery, that is hapa, which is made up of cement and all those things. Apart from this, I told you it should have the breeding tank, then it should have the incubation as well as the hatching jars. If the breeding tank is not there, then it should have what? It should have the hapas fixed in the ponds. Or if those hapas are also not available, then you can use the spawnery for the breeding purpose. Okay. Now incubation and hatching jars. Now there are different types of incubation and hatching jars that are used, ranging from the glass jars system, synthetic jars to zong jars with temperature controlled water suppliers. Okay. So incubation and hatching jars, actually they say they are of different types. Now these jars may be made of glass, or they may be made of what is a cement and all those things. Now we'll see what are those. Now glass jars. Now glass jars actually are conical in shape. Okay, and they are open at the top, and they are gradually tapering towards the bottom. And they have got different measurements. See here, the glass jar will be like this. Okay, if you have, and they are set up vertically through the circular holes. Okay, and they are fitted in 2 rows at a gap of 20 feet, and they are kept in a vertical position with the help of the clamps. Okay, are you understanding, ma? Hello? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next is, this is all about the glass jars. Okay, the top of the jar is fitted with an iron with a beak. It serves as an outer for water coming. Okay, the jars are connected with rubber tubings. The next you have zug jars. I think in your syllabus you have zug jars also, no?
Yes,
Zug
ma'am.
jars.
Still.
Yeah, Zug jars means name after Zug. Zug, Switzerland word it is, where actually they were first used in the Switzerland. Zug is a place in the Switzerland. These Zug jars were first used, and they are nothing but large jars, and they are their height actually is 15 to 20 centimeter in diameter, and they are inverted bottles with open tops and narrow bottoms. See here, they are inverted. Okay, and they are inverted in nature with inverted bottles with open tops. The tops are open and narrow bottoms you have. And in a hatchery, they are installed vertically in a series. See how they are installed in a series. Okay, and the water is supplied from below. Yeah, from below the water is supplied, and the outlet is at the top. This is the outlet, and the water will be supplied at the water. So the jug jars have the capacity of about 6 to 8 liters, and they can carry about 1 to 5 liters of eggs. So this is about the jug jars. Then you have McDonald or Chase jars. Now, McDonald or Chase jars actually are similar to jug jars only, but they are cylindrical in shape with a circular bottom for the water supply. The next is the plastic jars. Now, the
Ma'am,
plastic
how
jars
are having the question in the exam of this hatcheries?
actually they may give you. Now we are talking about the different types of hatcheries, Noma, here. So in the
Yes,
hatchery,
ma'am.
they may give you a essay question or write an essay on different types of hatcheries. Or if they ask you more about the what are the different types of what do you say jars, then you have to discuss in detail about these different types of jars that are used in hatchery. Okay, these jars actually
Okay.
are used in, yeah, they are used in hatchery now. So they are of different types. The first one what we have seen,
You have
yeah,
to practice the diagrams also, no?
yeah, at least few diagrams you need to practice, no? Okay,
Okay.
so McDonald or the chase jars actually are nothing but they are similar in like jug jars, and but it is cylindrical in shape. Okay, and here they are similar with a circular bottom for the water supply, and the flow of water in the jars keeps the X rotating. Okay, the next is you have plastic jars. Now the plastic jars are like this. See, this is the plastic hatching jar, and these jars actually are of low density polythene, and the upper part has a diameter of so and so, and each jar has an independent control valve. Each jar, see, this is the valve, and each jar will have an independent control valve. See, this is an inlet pipe is there. Okay, and water supply from here, and this is the pipe, and this is a plastic jar. Okay, and you have a, this is the jar bottom. So each jar actually has an independent control valve, and for effective use, an inner egg, what do you say, the container is used for separating the eggshells. Hatching jar with water supplied from above is also seen. Okay, so this is one. The next you have spawnery. Now this is
Ma'am,
all about, yes, ma.
what is the principle involved in these jars, ma'am?
Which one here? Principal is in this particular plastic jar you mean, or overall?
In all the jars, ma'am. One question we are having like that.
What is the principle involved? Now the principle is here is nothing but to see that actually see what are jars where actually you are trying to go for the hatching. These jars actually are used for the hatching purpose. So how the eggs are being introduced and from where the water is supplied. Suppose if it is a plastic jar, or if it is a what is that first jar we have seen, no, jug jars and all those things. Jug jars are inverted. Okay, jug jars are inverted, whereas glass jars actually they will be vertical. On the top it will be open, and at below they'll be narrow. Yes or no? Like that, jug jars actually are totally opposite, opposite, and they are made of the iron and all those things. Whereas plastic jars are made up of plastic. The principle behind here is what is the use of purpose of using jars? It is mainly used for hatching. It is mainly used for hatching. Okay, and for the hatching purpose, from where the water is being supplied, how you are introducing the eggs, and where actually the hatching takes place, and once the hatching takes place, how the hatchlings you are going to separate them. So this is the thing that you are talking about. Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am. But in the question, write about working principle of glass jar hatcheries. It's there.
Yeah, ma, that is what this only you have to write.
Okay.
Okay. Hmm. See, just now I've talked, you know. Okay. So actually, these are the incubation and hatching jars. That's why I've told you, know, in incubation and hatching jars only, these hatching jars are made up of different. If they are made of glass, you say they are glass jars. They are conical in shape, okay, of different diameter. The next we have talked about, this is the glass jar, okay. The next we have talked about what jug jars. Jug jars are inverted. See, inverted in the sense they are opposite, quite opposite to the glass jars. Glass jars we are conical in shape at the top, and below you are narrow. But here, see how they are totally inverted. The conical structure is down, and the narrower towards the upper side. This is about the jug jars. And you have McDonald jars, which is similar to the chase jars, which is similar to the jug jars. And now next is the plastic jars. Now these are made up of plastic. See, the whole structure is made up of plastic. Okay, and their plastic is which plastic? It is made up of polythene. It is made up of polythene, and they're saying each jar actually has an independent control valve. It has an independent control valve, and so this hatching jar with water supply from above is also seen in you. See, the water supply is actually given from here. The valve will be there. If you open the valve, the water supply from here, it will come to go through the inlet pipe, and then it will enter into this. Are you not able to see here? See, this is the water supply. This is the valve, and this is the inlet pipe. Through this inlet pipe, actually, the water will be passing into the jar, plastic jar. Okay, so this is the pipe, and here you see, in the bottom, at the bottom, actually, you have the eggs are being introduced here, this round circle. So there, actually, the hatching will take place. Okay, is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The next is spawnery. Now, spawnery again is a hapa of synthetic material only, which is fitted in a frame placed inside a cemented cistern or a tank. So here, what they are saying, the hapa is also made of synthetic material, but it is actually placed in a cistern, which is made of cement, or a tank, which is made of cement. And the height of this hapa is more than that of the cemented cistern. And an overhead shower also is provided to spray water over the developing hatchlings. And the cemented cistern of the spawnery will measure about so and so. Okay, now next we'll see. Now, working method. Now, it can accommodate about 10 lakh spawns at a time, it seems. You can accommodate about 10 lakh spawns at a time. So that is why this system, which one, the spawnery, is very, very important. It is a synthetic material. Okay, and here it is fitted on a frame placed inside a cemented cistern or a tank. And the height of the hapa is more than the cemented cistern to prevent the hatchlings from being carried away along with the overflowing water. An overhead shower is actually provided to spray the water. Okay, so this is about the spawnery. The next, your working method, will see how actually this spawnery works. Now, water either from the adjacent ponds or the rivers or from the groundwater is pumped into the overhead tank. And from the overhead tank, water will flow into the incubation jars and spawnery. The next, the water hardened eggs will be there. No, they will slowly get released into each incubation jar, and the water pressure is regulated during incubation so that the eggs are stirred gently, and then a flow of about 600 to 800 ml of water per minute is sufficient to keep the carp eggs in circulation. Then later on, water enters into the incubation jar either from the bottom or from the above through a pipe which opens at the bottom. Then after the eggs are hatched, the hatchlings actually they have a tendency to move. No, just now I told you. So they will undergo the vertical migration. So when once they undergo the undergo migration, means once they start moving, they will move towards the surface. When once they move towards the surface through the outlet along with the overflow, then what do? They will go into the spawnery. Okay, that spawnery hapa. So when once they go into the spawnery hapa, then they will spawn and then they will mature. So the rate of flow of water in the jars actually at this time is slightly increased. Okay, after completion of hatching to facilitate speedy escape of the hatchlings. So that is how it is. It works. So dead eggs, unfertilized eggs, eggshells, abnormal shells, all those they will remain inside the jars. Okay, later on they will be removed by disconnecting the glass or the incubation jar. And in the spawnery, what happens? The water will be sprayed continuously for 3 days until the fries are ready to stock. So this is about the thing. Are you understanding? This is all about glass jar hatchery only. We have talked about earthen pot hatchery. Now we have talked about glass jar hatchery. In the glass jar hatchery, the glass jars, actually the hatcheries are made up of glass. So that is why it is called as glass jar hatchery. Okay, and this glass jar hatchery, the jars are of different types. I've told you what are those. One is the just now we have seen jug jars. Okay, then you have plastic jars. Then you have the Chase jars or the McDonald jars. Like this, you have different types of jars, and these jars actually are provided with what? The breeding tank. Apart from that, they also have the incubation as well as the spawnery. So in the incubation, actually, the eggs will try to spawn. They will undergo, fertilize, and they will form the hatchlings. And these hatchlings, once they are being produced, they move towards the surface, and through the flush of water, they will try to move into the spawnery hapa. So when once they move into the spawnery hapa, the water will be sprayed continuously so that they will develop further and develop into small fries or the fingerlings, which can be laid further or you can preserve it for stock. So this is about the glass jar hatchery. Now coming to merits means it can be operated in a compact area, and as the incubation jars are transparent, the developing embryos can be seen with the naked eye. Okay. The merits, demerits are in case of incubation jars made of glass, glass is liable to damage and cannot be shifted to different places. So this is one of the demerits. And temperature control system is not provided in this. And air circulation is not provided. Hatchling success is less than that of the Chinese hatchery. So that is why this is one of the demerits. Okay. Yes, ma. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next we will go to, time is very less. Then Chinese hatchery, that is eco hatchery. Yeah, this is also very, very important. So Chinese investigators have developed these circular hatching tanks in which water actually flows in a continuous state in a circular direction. So that is why it is popularly known as Chinese hatchery system. So this system within a small space actually simulates some aspects of riverine environment. Now construction, see overhead tank and spawning pool. Okay, incubation. Now what does it consist of? It has an incubation or the hatching tank. I'll just go through fast, ma. Okay, so overhead tank and a spawning pool or breeding tank is there. Then second one, it has an incubation or a hatching tank. See, this is the Chinese tank. Okay. Prior to the introduction of the eggs, the inner wall of the chamber is separated from the outer. Okay, then apart from that, it has a spawning tank also. Okay, then working principle. Working principle of this is, see here, how there. A photographic view of a Chinese hatchery. This is. Okay. Then merits and demerits are, we'll just go through fast. Now, Chinese hatchery actually ensures a high hatching success. Okay. And water flow and thus the temperature is maintained here and it is directly connected to the breeding pool. And it minimizes the labor cost and more quantity of eggs can be accommodated. Demerit is due to the absence of proper spawnery, total removal of shells will not be possible. So initial cost is very high. Proper technical application has to be maintained. Okay, then physico-chemical nature of water and water quality parameters at the time of hatching. Okay. 1 second. Now, so when you're talking about hatching and different types of hatcheries and hatching hapas, what are the different physico-chemical characteristic features of the water also should be taken into consideration. That is water quality parameters. That is in the form of pH, temperature, the dissolved oxygen content, total hardness. Okay, the form of carbonates, bicarbonates, then calcium, magnesium. All these things are very, very essential. So because the water quality will change from one season to another season. So during the, the spawning as well as during the development of eggs, these should be regulated. The water quality should be regulated to ensure greater hatching success. Okay, in the glass as well as in the Chinese hatchery. So therefore, you need to actually also see the optimum conditions that are required with terms of temperature, with terms of dissolved oxygen, total hardness should be maintained in that hatchery. Whether it is a glass hatchery, whether it is a cemented hatchery, or whether it is a Chinese hatchery, all these should be maintained. Then only proper hatching will take place. If all these are not maintained properly, if they are not regulated properly, then the hatching will not be success and you will not get the production. So that is what that's it.
Vertical jar hatchery.
Which one? Yeah, vertical jar hatchery also is one of the type. Okay. So vertical jar hatchery is also given in that syllabus.
Yes, ma'am. There are so many hatcheries that we have not covered.
Okay, we'll do one thing. The rest of the things we will do later on because also the time is up. Only we have covered